A company that started by mailing DVDs in red envelopes almost went bankrupt. A company that was once laughed at by Hollywood later crushed Hollywood. A company that was rejected by Blockbuster and years later destroyed Blockbuster. This is not just the story of Netflix. This is the story of risk, failure, timing, vision, and one of the greatest business transformations in history. At one point, Netflix was so close to failure that its founders seriously considered selling the company for just $50 million. Today, it's worth over $200 billion. So, the big question is, how did Netflix go from almost failed to change the entire entertainment industry? That's exactly what we are breaking down in this video. It was 1997, the internet was slow. Streaming didn't exist. People still bought CDs, VHS tapes, and rented movies from physical stores. And in California, two men, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph, were brainstorming a business idea. Reed Hastings was a successful software entrepreneur who had just sold his company for millions. Mark Randolph was a tech marketer with big ideas but no clear direction yet. According to legend, the idea for Netflix came after Reed Hastings was fined $40 for returning a rented movie late to Blockbuster. Frustrated, he thought, what if I could rent movies without late fees? That frustration turned into an idea, and that idea became Netflix. At first, Netflix was not a streaming service. It was a DVD by mail rental company. You went to their website, selected a movie, and they mailed the DVD to your home. No late fees, no rental stores, no human interaction. It was revolutionary but also risky. Why? Because at that time, Blockbuster was a giant with thousands of physical stores worldwide. Nobody believed a small online company could compete. Many investors laughed at Netflix. Some said people will never wait for movies in the mail. But Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph believed in one thing: convenience beats tradition. Netflix launched in 1998 and almost immediately they struggled because DVDs were still expensive, internet was slow and unreliable, most people didn't trust online businesses. Blockbuster dominated the market. In the early years, Netflix was burning money fast. They tried different business models: paper rental, monthly subscriptions, single rental plans. Nothing seemed to work perfectly. By 2000s, Netflix was in serious trouble. So Reed Hastings made a bold move. He went to Blockbuster headquarters and offered to sell Netflix for $50 million. His idea was simple: Blockbuster can run Netflix as their own brand. Guess what happened? Blockbuster executives laughed at him. They rejected the deal. They thought Netflix was a joke. One Blockbuster executive reportedly said online movie rentals will never work. That moment would go down in business history as one of the worst decisions ever made. Netflix walked away rejected but not defeated. After being rejected, Reed Hastings made a decision that would change everything. Instead of selling Netflix, he doubled down. In 2000s, Netflix introduced its subscription model. Pay a fixed monthly fee, keep as many DVDs as you want, no late fees, return when you are done. This was genius because it changed how people thought about renting movies. Instead of I will rent one movie, people thought I now have access to unlimited movies. Netflix started growing slowly but steadily. Meanwhile, Blockbuster continued business as usual, charging late fees, relying on physical stores, and ignoring the digital future. Netflix was learning, Blockbuster was stagnating. Despite growth, Netflix still faced massive challenges. By the mid 2000s, competition was increasing, shipping costs were high, investors were impatient, and most importantly, DVDs were becoming outdated. Reed Hastings saw something others didn't. He realized that DVDs were temporary. The real future was digital streaming. But there was a problem. In 2006 to 2007, internet speeds were still not great. Most people couldn't stream high quality video. Many board members and investors warned him, "You are moving too fast. DVDs are still profitable." But Hastings believed, if we don't disrupt ourselves, someone else will. This is one of the most important business lessons ever. If you don't innovate, someone else will. In 2007, Netflix made its biggest bet ever. they launched Netflix streaming. At first, it was just a side feature for existing DVD subscribers. People could watch a limited number of movies instantly on their computers, but the catalog was small. The quality wasn't great, and many people didn't care. Critics said streaming will never replace DVDs. But Hastings wasn't listening to critics, he was listening to the future. Meanwhile, something important was happening in the world. Broadband internet was becoming faster, smartphones were emerging, smart TVs were starting to appear. The timing was slowly aligning. Netflix was positioning itself for a future most people couldn't yet see. Now comes one of the Netflix darkest moments. In 2011, Reed Hastings made a controversial decision. He announced that Netflix would split into two services, Netflix for streaming and Qwikster for DVD rentals. Prices also increased, customers were furious, millions canceled their subscriptions. Netflix stock price crashed. People called Hastings arrogant. Many said Netflix was finished, even some early supporters turned against them. At this point, Netflix looked weaker than ever, but behind the scenes, something incredible was happening. Instead of backing down, Netflix made another risky move. They stopped depending on Hollywood studios. Instead, they started creating their own shows. In 2013, Netflix released its first major original series, House of Cards. This was a game changer. For the first time, a streaming platform produced a high budget, critically acclaimed series that people binged in one weekend. Netflix wasn't just a platform anymore, it was becoming a studio. Then came Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, Narcos, The Crown. Suddenly, Netflix wasn't just competing with TV, it was replacing TV. Traditional networks panicked. Cable companies started losing subscribers. Hollywood realized too late that Netflix has already won. Netflix didn't just build a company, it changed human behavior. Before Netflix, you waited weekly for episodes. You watched what channels decided. You sat through ads. But after Netflix, you binge watch entire seasons. You choose what you want. No ads, you can watch anytime, anywhere. Netflix also globalized entertainment. Korean dramas like Squid Game became worldwide hits. Spanish shows like Money Heist dominated global charts. Hollywood was no longer the only center of storytelling. Netflix made the world smaller through entertainment. So, what we can learn from Netflix? Lesson 1: Reject comfort. Netflix didn't stick with DVDs because they were profitable. They moved to streaming even when it was risky. Lesson 2: Timing matters. Streaming worked because internet speeds improved at the right time. Lesson 3: Believe in your vision. Even when everyone doubted them, Netflix stayed the course. Lesson 4: Disrupt yourself before others do. Netflix destroyed its own DVD business before someone else could. Today, Netflix is not just a company, it is a symbol of innovation. A reminder that even the smallest idea, like mailing DVDs, can change the world if you believe in it. So, next time you open Netflix and click play, remember, behind that simple button is a story of struggle, risk, failure, and ultimate success. And that's the story of how Netflix almost failed and changed everything.